Okay, perfect. Brett's on this morning too. This started from our NAR conversation a couple weeks ago, and Brett started talking about menu of services on her listing packet, and so we just were like blanketly like, hey, can you just come on and talk about listing processes for how you do things? And so she graciously agreed. And so I'm going to hand it over to Brett, who looks like she has an amazing slide deck prepared. And I have no doubts that she does, because I know the type of worker that she is. So I'm excited to hear your brain this morning, Brett. Thank you for sharing with us. And guys, pipe in. We'll try to monitor the chat boxes. And if you have questions, raise your hand or just shout out, because obviously this is the time to collaborate and learn. So thank you, Brett, for being with us this morning.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So I'm going to screen share my slide deck with you guys super quick. Hopefully this works. So if you guys have a question or something, raise your hand, because I won't be able to see at all, but I'll hear it. So can you guys see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I am going to do kind of an untraditional training for you guys today, because I just don't think that a lot of this stuff is talked about enough. However, fast forward movement does dive into some of this stuff sometimes, and I feel like it's just something that takes so much time to really get to the nitty gritty. Like, this could be a 6-hour training just because it could be so in depth with this stuff, but I'm going to go briefly skim over the top, because I think that it is super, super, super important. And so I'm going to go into like menu of services, but I'm also going to go into processes before, during, and after, and also designing those processes so that, like, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody can step in and they can take over. And you don't even have to get hit by a bus. Like, you have to be more efficient and more productive with your time, which ultimately allows you to grow your business more and get more listings and get more clients. So my first note on this page to myself was, people want to work with people who are prepared and have their shit together. So, which I have found to be so true, long before the sale, during it, and even after it, to gain more business from the business that you've created. So I'm curious, who is very process oriented and has a process for literally everything in your business? That's down to like preparing for buyer consultations, preparing for listing consultations, like nitty gritty stuff. Who already has really great processes?
So we have great processes, Brett, except for, very honestly, and that's why I was so excited about you coming on today. I have agents that onboard and they're like, can you share our listing presentation? I was like, yeah, I can. So what's really funny is I am in a business model where we have systems and processes for literally everything, but I'm still running on my own charm and wit for listing presentations. So I'm taking all the notes today. So just being very vulnerable to start this morning.
So I want to pick your brain on that, Anna. Do you ever get an uninterrupted evening or vacation?
No.
Exactly. If you guys know me, and I'm actually going to go to the next slide because it fits in perfectly to what I'm about to tell you about myself. So if you guys know me, I love traveling, and I'm going to talk more about that when I get to the personal section. And so as a result of that, before my processes, would go on a trip, and I would spend every waking minute on the trip while my husband was enjoying the sights, looking down at my phone because somebody always needed something from me, and it got very frustrating. So I'm really excited to show you guys some of this stuff. A little bit about me, because a lot of you on here probably have no clue who I am. So I have a degree in psychology and mass communications, which is a minor in marketing. So I did marketing for some really big brands. I worked for Windows, I worked for Nokia, Heineken, Bethany Frankel, if you guys are familiar with her, Stella Artois, Red Bull, Strongbow, Dos Equis. And we did a lot of guerrilla marketing on college campuses too. This was in my younger years before corporate. I really, really loved it. I never intended to be a real estate agent. In fact, I still it's not my passion to be a real estate agent. I got in wanting to learn how to invest in real estate and frankly make a lot of money. And so then I stumbled across my passion for coaching and helping other business owners set up systems and marketing. So personal life, I'm originally from Minnesota. I moved to North Carolina in 2015. Honestly, it took me 3 hours to get to work one morning for a 30-minute drive because the weather and ice and snow was so bad that I literally got to my job and I found an apartment and I signed the lease and I said, screw this. And I moved to North Carolina. So, love traveling. I love the ocean. I love everything about North Carolina. I'm married to my husband, Ryan, and I have 6 pets who I adore, and they may jump on my lap while I'm on this training. So just fair warning. All right. So I'm going to preface this all by the fact that it drives me nuts, especially when I was a team leader. It drives me nuts when people don't take notes because I don't understand how you guys retain information. Like if you don't take notes, how do you retain it? So I'm going to encourage you guys, if you hear something that resonates with you guys today, I hope that you'll take some notes and also do yourself a favor and take action on those notes as soon as you guys leave, because we all know it doesn't matter unless you actually do it. So it says that if you take notes, you'll retain the information 50% better. You guys will learn I love numbers and I love stats. And 8% of you in this Zoom will leave here and actually do something about it. So I would love to make that percentage higher and hear feedback from you guys after hopefully putting some of this into practice. All right. So the question I have for you is, what if all that was missing from your business? Like take away, what lead sources do you guys use? Where do you get your leads? Where do you invest? Do you use Zillow? Like how are you getting the phone to ring? Take all of that away. And what if the only thing that was missing in your business in order to grow was a process for listing and buyers that allowed you more time, more creative space in your brain, and allowed you not to be bogged down by thinking what else is on my plate and what's slipping between the cracks? Because I found myself lying awake in bed at night thinking, oh my gosh, there's something I missed. Like what is falling between the cracks? And it was a constant like, okay, I feel like there's something I didn't do. I was so worried that something didn't get done. I was going to drop the ball. My clients were going to be upset with me. Having processes like this that I'm going to explain to you in place allows me to take more action, right? If it's taking less space in my brain, it allows me to have more room to create. It also allows me more time for personal development, which I think is the number one next to processes, things that is missing in an agent's business. If you guys are not on a daily personally developing, most of the time it's because agents either don't prioritize it or they really truly don't have time to do it because they're running around like a crazy person. So personal development. And I'm also convinced that this is an untapped piece of your business that could unlock more just by making this switch. So here we go. Who's read Atomic Habits? Who loves Atomic Habits? Did you read it once, twice? Did you get through it? Anyway, it's great.
Yeah, it is great. I do love it. I've read it 3 times actually, and our team has been encouraged to read it. So it's a great book.
I love it so much. And honestly, it was a game changer. I feel like everything that I read, I have so many epiphanies, and I have it on my iPad and I'm constantly highlighting, and that's my form of taking notes. But what I'll do on random days is I'll time block to go back and read my highlights because I love that book so much. If you guys have not read it, it's amazing. So I'm going to start with a little bit of psychology on this. So you'll see that I have highlighted here that anything you do in your business, if you want it to actually get done, you should make it easy. That was the thing that stood out to me the most because he says in the book, he says, conventional wisdom holds that motivation is the key to habit change. Maybe if you really wanted it, you'd actually do it. But the truth is our real motivation is to be lazy and to do what is convenient. And that kind of hit me in the gut because I'm like, I am not lazy. I'm a high achiever. Like I work my butt off. I go the extra mile. Like that was not me. But then I kept reading and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. So he writes, energy is precious and the brain is wired to conserve it whenever possible. It is human nature to follow the law of the least effort. And I know you guys do this, and I want you to think about areas of your life where you do this. So the law of least effort states that when deciding between 2 similar options, people will naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. That's why it's crucial to make your habits so easy that you'll do them even when you don't feel like it. And if you can make your good habits more convenient, you'll be more likely to follow through on them. The less friction you face, the easier it is for your stronger self to emerge. And the idea behind making it easy is not only to do easy things. Of course, we do very hard things, but the idea is to make it as easy as possible in the moment to do things that pay off in the long run. So I put there priming your environment, which is really the next step. And honestly, I'll show you my office too, because I think this is really important. And I didn't realize I did this until I read this. And I was like, wow, I already did that. And I do it in so many areas of my life. So he talks about an IT developer from Mississippi. He's someone who understands the power of priming his environment. So he writes, when I walk into a room, everything is in its place. Because I do this every day in every room, stuff always stays in good shape. People think I work so hard, but I'm actually really lazy. I'm just proactively lazy. It gives you so much of your time back. When you organize a space for its intended purpose ahead of time, you're priming it to make the next action easy. And it's not just your environment, right? It's everything that you do. So he gave a few examples. So if you want to exercise, how many of you guys already do this? You set out your gym bag, you pick out your clothes, you make sure there's a water bottle in there. Like you make it so easy that when you wake up in the morning and you trip over that bag, you have no excuse to feel lazy because everything's prepared for you. Like for me, I got to a place, and I don't know if some of you do this, but I got to a place where in the morning when I would wake up, I was so exhausted that it would overwhelm me to pick out an outfit. So I would pick out my outfit the night before. And then I would lay it out. And when I woke up in the morning, I would just pick it up, put it on, whatever. Steve Jobs did this. Mark Zuckerberg does this. He only buys one color shirt and it's the same style shirt. It's because he doesn't want to take up creative space in his brain trying to think about what he's wearing that day. So he keeps it simple for himself so that the only thing that he has to do is what his main primary goal is. They also talk about improving your diet, right? So if you chop up a ton of fruits and veggies on weekends and pack them in containers, all you have to do is go to the fridge and grab it out and leave. So two things there that are really important are make something super easy for yourself that you have no excuse but to do it. It's so easy. It's simple. And then the second thing is priming your environment. I'm going to give you one more practical example before I go into the next thing. So in my office, I got these file folder shelves. Hopefully you guys can see this. And what I do in here is I literally, when I'm preparing buyer packets, I know exactly everything that goes in my buyer packet. All I do is I pick out a folder, I put my buyer guide in it, and then I go boom, 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 boom. And I just stuff the whole thing. I primed my environment so that if somebody says in 15 minutes, I need to have a buyer consultation, jump in the car and go, I'm going to go to my file folders and I'm going to stuff this, stuff this, stuff that. Okay, cool. The whole thing's made. I do that in so many areas of my life. And honestly, it saves me a ton of time. And so that is going to carry me into the next thing. And then I'm going to get into creating the marketing packages. So let's see. There are 3 steps in the process to doing this in your business, especially specifically as it pertains to listings. So I do a 3-step process pretty much with everything, and then I shove everything within that 3-step process to keep it simple in my brain, right? So the first step is to define your value and package it. It says now that you've created your listing package, I'm going to go into what that looks like for me, but I'll give you a visual of what that is. So we'll go into this soon. So you're going to define your value and you're going to package it. So you're going to come up with certain packages of value and you're going to give your buyer or seller options, right? So now that you've created your listing packages, you're ready to begin marketing yourself and the value you offer much better. You might even come up with a creative name for it. So fast forward movement, we learned this and I loved this. He talks about creating a branded process name. I think his is like, do you guys remember what Kyle Whistle calls his launching process? I'm trying to think of what that name was.
I don't remember what it is.
something like load the cannon or something like that. So anyway, what he does is he took this, he created the value by creating whatever that process looked like, and then he branded it as load the cannon. So he would talk to his sellers and say, we're going to do our load the cannon process, and this is what we're going to do. And he took it and he branded it. It was really cool. It's actually a really good marketing tactic. So with everything that you guys are doing when you're defining your value and packaging it as you're selling yourself, and you're coming from a place of service and the itemized value that you bring. When you itemize value, it looks like you're doing a ton of work, right? And that's what's really important, because if you make it look like you are doing as much work as you're doing, and you actually show your client that, they're going to be much more likely to choose you, because the agent before didn't show them anything like this. And they might think that they're only going to list it on the market and do 3 things, but you brought this list of like 100 things you're going to do. And then a piece of that is knowing your competition and what you're willing to do to distinguish. The second part of that is building out your process, and I'm going to show you what that looks like too. And then the last step is to automate it and make it duplicatable. So this is what I have for my marketing packages. I didn't list out the services. I rather pose them as questions and suggestions, because everybody's business is going to look very, very different. So I learned this tactic from a home inspector. What I find is that I take a lot of ideas from other industry professionals and even outside of real estate professionals. And I whatever seems creative and whatever would honestly work on me, I take those things and I make it my own. So what he told me was he had 3 packages. And so he would do the base level, he would do a mid-level, and then he would do a premium high level. And what he told me was, by natural choice in psychology, people would gravitate towards the middle one. And I remember learning this in college in my psychology class, is if you give people options, they don't want something that doesn't give you your best, and they don't want something that gives you excessive amounts of stuff, because why do they need all of that extra stuff? They're going to choose the middle one because you get the best of both worlds. So how this is laid out is, if you choose the platinum, you also get what's in gold and silver. If you choose the gold, you get also what's in silver. And if you choose silver, you only get what's in silver. So essentially, they build upon each other as you go to platinum. So you can see that if I did a 7% package over here, they're also getting all of this too. And that's why I say people gravitate towards this one. And most of the time, my wording is, you probably don't need the platinum, honestly. So what most people choose is the gold. And it's very much in my scripting of how I guide them where I want them to choose. And for example, let's say that it's a foreclosure, or maybe it's like being sold as is and it's going to go to an investor. I might say, you don't need gold and platinum. Honestly, you probably just need silver, because what we're going to do is we're going to pose this to investors, and I'm probably not going to have to take that much time or spend that much money. So maybe I'm going to leave them over here. Obviously, it's going to be what's best for your client. But if you know that this is a listing that would thrive with a gold package, I am very much going to lead them here, because this does have everything that they need to get their home sold at that level of listing. So for my silver package, this is your base bare bones package. So I remember somebody a couple of weeks ago saying, well, what about your fiduciary duties? Yes. This is your base level. Like, your fiduciary duties are included in that base level. You always need to make sure that as a real estate agent, you're doing what you need to do as an agent. Base level, that, like, no matter what. What happens during your initial consultation? So for example, like maybe in my initial consultation, I'm going to offer a complimentary market analysis, right? So I'm going to define that here. I think we underestimate the small little details that we think that a seller won't care about, and then we don't write it out as value. But to be fair, like, you should be listing one of your services as, I'm going to bring you comparables so that we can go through the numbers, and then I want you to package that service. So maybe it's like, I don't know, you could frame it in the word sense however you want to, but agent prepared comparable market analysis as one of your tasks. where is the listing placed initially and where does it syndicate to? So maybe that looks like something like listing it on the MLS, syndicated to all the major sites, Zillow, Realtor, Redfin, whatever. Do you provide a floor plan or professional measurements? Notate it. How many photos does your package include? Sometimes that matters. Like I've seen some people that only put 3 cell phone photos, and I've seen other people that do 55 photos. And so maybe that could be a value proposition. Like my photographer tells me how many photos I get for my price. So I'll put in there like 45 photos. And then I could even make that a point to say, maybe most other realtors only do like 20 photos, but we think it's really important to have a really well-rounded marketing footprint on the internet. So we do 45. Do you install a lockbox? See what I mean? Like it's little things that you guys are not finding value in yourself that I think it's really important to project to your seller to help them understand small stuff. Do you do a sign install? This actually, I don't know, some of you might do like the ones that you just like push your feet into the ground versus the ones that you have professionally installed that are like big. So that could be a value proposition right there too. Do you have a personal website that it syndicates to? Do you create individual websites or landing pages? What type of social media coverage does this package get you? Will this include your time or other agents' time covering open houses? Do not underestimate the time that is spent hosting an open house, whether it's you or somebody else on your team. So make sure that you guys are literally sectioning this down to everything you could possibly think of that goes into this process. What communication will this provide? So on my silver package, I'll say you get Monday, once a week updates of any like summary of feedback. Of course, I submit feedback immediately when it happens, but my sellers really like a one view summary of the whole past week and see it all in one place. They're busy, right? They might see it in the moment, but when they see it side by side, it's like, okay, yeah, that's how the last 7 days went. And in that communication, you might suggest, okay, we've tried this listing price for 7 days. And then you would remind them a conversation that you had in your listing appointment. Remember, we talked about if there was 14 days on market and only 5 showings, that we would reevaluate pricing on Thursday, right? So like little notes like that keep everybody on the same page. And you don't have to do this yourself if you have a transaction coordinator who does it, but outline that. And then at the bottom, I always write out the possible fee allocation. And I put possible because, of course, it's not fixed. So here's where I'm suggesting what the buyer's agent gets and also what that includes for my services as well. So I'll put the professional fee paid to the buying brokerage firm and the professional fee allocated to marketing costs and listing brokerage fees. And vice versa. If you guys want to screenshot this, I just put like questions and suggestions for gold and platinum. I'm not going to go through every single one, but does anybody at the moment have any questions about these packages before I move on to the next? Cool. Okay. I am also, I don't know if you guys have thought about this before, but I am also going to create something like this for the buy side. So as a buyer's agent, now that the commission rules are changing, I'm going to create a package for the buy side as well. But I'm also considering creating something visual for a seller to look at to show the value of buyer's agents too. I'm always a proponent of going the extra mile, whether I think that the buyer agent who brings the buyer is going to go the extra mile or not. So I'm going to go the extra mile for them. And I am going to try to pitch their value to my seller as well, because I do find value in a buyer's agent bringing me a buyer and helping with that side of things. I don't want to, spend all the time showing that property and allowing them into the home and taking all of my time, energy, and effort into helping the buyer get through the process when I'm also trying to advocate for my seller and give them all of my time too. So I think that I'm going to be creating something that shows the seller in a packaged form the advantages of working with the buyer's agent. I think that's super important. Has anybody done that yet? Because I would love to pick your brain on it. Okay. So I just put down in my notes here, the reason for putting that buyer agent package together would be to show my value, and also to show the seller the value in offering commission to a buyer's agent. So I'm going to go to this one again. All right. So now that you guys have seen the listing packages, how can you add in systemized fluff to the process to elevate? So you've defined your value, you've packaged it. Now you're going to build out your process. I'm going to show you what that looks like on my end, and you can do this in whatever form you want. Some people do it on a whiteboard. I do it in an Excel because I love Excel. So here is how I prime my environment to make this so simple for myself. I created a Google Drive form that literally maps out my 3-step process. I do a pre-listing drop-off. I do the actual marketing consultation. And then this is the MLS listing prep, or the second time that I go back to have a consultation with them. In these folders, I have drug example copies of everything that I need to include in that pre-listing drop-off. So I just need to go in here, and then I need to go in, print it off, put it in the package, right? So then if I go back for my marketing consultation, this is everything I need to bring, right? For my MLS listing prep, these are all the documents that I'm going to need. So if you guys can get yourself organized to the point where you don't have to forget what's going to go in your packages, you don't have to forget what you're going to bring to the appointment, map it out in your folders, right? Okay, so here is where I'm going to take my marketing package and value, and I'm going to turn this into a full-blown 3-phase listing process. I'm not going to go through this in detail. Oh, I actually have 4 and 5 because I did launching the marketing and also closing. So here's where I'm talking about that you guys had the opportunity to systemize your fluff. So if you guys have this so down to a science that you know exactly how this is going to go, you can leverage your time with runners, you can leverage your time with transaction coordinators. Now you can throw in some really cool stuff, like maybe during the phase of your process where you've listed it on the market and you go under contract. Oh,
Their product for primer is $50 a gallon.
Anybody? Hey, Victoria.
They recommended 2 gallons.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe during the process of going under contract, you guys want to send them a congratulations gift. I've seen people where, like, as soon as a buyer makes an offer, we accept the contract, they send them like donuts and say, take a load off and enjoy these donuts. Congratulations on going under contract. What I think is really cool about that is once you have down a systemized process and you're leveraging it, and now it's just boom, 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 plug and play. Now you can really fluff your process and make it such an amazing experience for your clients that it's unforgettable, which in the long run gets you guys more business. So imagine if you had something where literally I put in here, where was it? Maybe it was on the next page. So if you go to a listing appointment and they're like, we need to list our house in 2 days, you don't have to feel frantic knowing that, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this in 2 days? No, you have a process. You're going to get your transaction coordinator on this immediately, or you're going to get on this immediately, and you are going to go right down this list. You could probably launch a listing in 2 days as long as your vendors are available, just knowing that you have this bullet point all the way down, and you can still give them a fluff experience that makes them really excited and really thankful that nobody's ever done that kind of stuff for them before. So building out your process, and then the next step of that is automating it. So I use Monday.com. Not sure if you guys do or not. You can also use Trello. You can use any project management software. You can honestly use a piece of paper. I wouldn't recommend it because it's not going to be giving you reminders of what comes next. But I use Monday.com. And so when I have a new incoming contract and I move it to my listings, right, I have automated this so that all of these things are in here. They're assigned appropriately to who needs to make it happen. They have a due date over on this side. And it gives all of the details for, let's say that I had to, let's say that my transaction coordinator had a baby tomorrow, and now I need to bring somebody into this process. they can come in here and in about 5 seconds, they can figure out what comes next because it is so tuned to the point of like she would figure it out. It's amazing. And then there's different statuses where if somebody's stuck in the process, I get notified, I can jump in, but it allows me to have a really hands-off approach because now these people are in here, and honestly, like if she took a vacation, I could jump in here and I could see even, so for example, I'll give you guys an example of why this is really important. I could see where she has sent an email and I could even see the correspondence that's going back and forth. And I could see what's been said. I can see how many times they viewed it, that kind of thing. I'm trying to see if I have. Okay. So in here, I can see all the emails and activities. And so if I need to jump in for her, so we really help each other out with that as well. Did somebody have a question? Nope. Okay. All right, so now I've automated it. So I've packaged my value, I've won the listing. They've seen all the additional amazing stuff that I have to offer. I've built out my process so that I could automate it and make it duplicatable. I'm able to go live in 2 seconds, or I'm able to go live in 40 days or even a year from now, but give my seller an idea of what that timeline looks like so that they're at ease. And now I can execute, and now I can have more space in my brain to innovate. And now I can spend more time going to trainings where I can actually take the value from it and I can implement it immediately. And now all of a sudden I'm refining my process so much every single day that it's like a well-oiled machine. And I can make it incredible for people. Like I can do all of the extra fluff that I wasn't able to do before because I was just trying to survive and keep my head above water, thinking, oh my gosh, did I drop the ball? Did I miss something? What am I missing? I can sleep better at night. I can take vacations without having to be bothered because somebody can come into my system. They know exactly what they need to do day to day. If they're stuck on something, I can jump in for 5 seconds and fix it, and we can move on to the next thing. It ultimately gives me way more time leverage. It makes me sleep better at night. And honestly, when I go into appointments with buyers and sellers, I am 1000% confident that I am the best agent for them because I know that nobody else has the process and the people and the leverage and the extra fluff that I do. So I think that this one thing alone can change your entire business, even if you never got better at scripts. I'm not saying that that's not important. It absolutely is. But even if you never got better at scripts, even if you never invested another dime in marketing, this alone will give you more time to go out and do what you need to do. And it will feel a lot more natural and it'll feel a lot better. So, oops, I got a phone call coming in. So with that being said, I'm leaving my contact information in case you guys want it for more questions, but I would love to do a Q&A or like a mastermind for the last 20 minutes because I'm constantly learning. On my whiteboard over here, it says on Fridays are when I refine my listing process even more. I time block time in my schedule to refine it and innovate because if you guys are not growing, you're dying, which is why I think Fast Forward Movement and Access Global and all of these networks that we have access to tap into are incredible because we are constantly innovating. And because of that, because I've innovated and because I have stayed so ahead of changing my process and making it better constantly, I feel like I'm 1000% prepared for this pivot with NAR because I've been doing this for 4 years. I was way ahead of the curve. And I think that if you guys are constantly learning and growing and innovating, you will absolutely make it through any storm or pivot or anything that happens. So that's all I got. Anybody else?
That was awesome. So good. What questions do we have, friends?
Brett,
Sorry, I
that
hate
was
using my phone.
amazing. I loved it. And you know what? I started doing a lot of this stuff because I'm kind of fly by the seat of my pants. And I was just thinking about how much more I need to do, you know, get organized. But I have someone organizing even my house has made a difference for me and got me more motivated to do other things because now things have a place. And so when
Yep.
things have a place, then I can do other stuff and I don't feel as like stressed out, but I just had to hire someone to do it because I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah. I'm reading the comments. Now I want donuts. Okay, so Kristen had a comment. Do you offer the gold package for the price of silver? No, because that defeats the whole purpose. So if you want people to choose a gold package, make sure you state what you want to make for that. What this does for you is it now makes you more cognizant yourself of the time you're spending. You have to know your value. Time is the most precious and valuable thing that you guys have. And when people are like, well, could I get the silver for this? No. Silver is where it is. And if you have to take off, let's say, a half a percentage of the silver package just to win the deal, that's going to be up to you. But for me, I have just learned that I don't know, especially, with my mom passing and stuff, like I've just gone through many things in my life where time is just so important. And if I could go back 10 years, I would punch myself in the face and say, stop selling yourself short, because that is time that I'm spending and I'm taking a discount on it that I'm now taking away from my husband or my family or really anywhere else that I want to be and how I want to live my life. So I think that if you guys understand your value to a T, you will not sell yourself short. And I think that's really, really important. But the beauty is that with whatever package you guys create, you get to decide what that's worth to you and you can change it. Maybe you don't want to do as much and 4 or 5% is fine with you. You're in complete control of how that runs. But when they start asking you for discounts for doing more instead of less, that's when you have to look at them and say, no, because I know what my time is worth and I know the value that I bring to the table. And you have to be so confident in that because your why is going to constantly be reminding you of why you built out these packages. And I personally stick to them to a T. I hope that helped. But that's the other thing too, is when you start itemizing all the things that you do, you start realizing how much more value you bring to the table than your competition. And that's why in the notes I put, make sure you know your competition. If your competition is doing the same thing that you are, but they're doing a discount, make sure you know that. I think it's really, really important to study and learn what people around you are doing. If you guys have ever read The Art of War, that's also a really good book. Know your enemy better than yourself. Not to say that we're enemies, but know your competition. You have to. All right, cool. If that is everything, Anna, I will let you, or Ashley, I will let you finish out. Did we lose them?
No, I'm here. Sorry, it was loud, so I couldn't unmute.
That's
No,
okay.
that was so great. Thank you so much for coming on. That I feel like just kind of lays it out perfect and gets people inspired. So I really appreciate you come. That is why I was on mute. Dogs in the background. So we'll see everybody next week. We have Empower Conference next week as well, Thursday. So if you are not coming, get your tickets because we have some fantastic speakers and it's going to be a great time next Thursday at Car Space. So we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thanks.
Good week.
All right. Bye.
I don't know. So. You heard it here first, Chris Absher is going independent. Me. Do you realize you could like, you know, get food? No, I think, no, I think she just doesn't. She just said, she's like, I just don't, I'm tired. I don't want to happen. And I'm self like, I do. I don't care anymore. She really doesn't now. Pretty much everyone except Christine. Yeah, I think she's just walking down right. Well, that happens easy, like you know, that's something you want to do. But always service it.
I'm tired.
See, the husband's worried. Come check on my wife. She's went back to bed this morning from exercise. She's tired.
I'm just tired.
I'm
I'm
feeling good, but just tired.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Press.
relax.
That's what I'm doing. But I'm joining the Zoom.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to be relatable. I'm not, I don't understand that. Whatever.
Weird though. I can't hear it.
That was my attempt at being relatable.
Yesterday, no. And I got very interested. I mean, all impacted. But I want to go up there to the company to see their version of science. So we think they're going to be the third party anyway. But Anna and I's afternoon, that's what we can do.
No.
Right, Anna?
Huh?
You're not going to the lake, are you?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm grumpy. I can't be at work today. I'm serious.
What time are you going?
I'm gonna leave in a minute. I'm just grumpy.
Oh.
I am.